Regina Sanchez here, your spiritual life and health coach. Welcome to my podcast, Giving You a Fresh Start. My heart is to help you revive the joy in your life, rejuvenate your God-given destiny, and restore your body to health. Grab a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, or a glass of spring water with a splash of lemon and sit back. Take notes if you can, and enjoy the teaching I'm about to embark on. Let's get started, giving you a fresh start. Hi there, Regina Sanchez here, your spiritual life and health coach, believing in you. I'm so glad that you are joining me today on my podcast. I'm doing something a little different today, and I'm only doing a podcast and not a video. And my topic today, which I'm excited to talk to you about, is we are meant to thrive, not just survive. So many of us have been surviving these past 2.5 years since the release of fear has been propagated by the media, our government, and a number of fear-based doctors. And it has caused so many of us to live in this survival mode. And now the current fear agenda being released is that we're going to lack food. I mean, there is an issue going on with our food chain, but we need to understand it's a well-designed plan. And this earth is fully capable of supplying food. But now we're starting to hoard away food and supplies, which isn't always a bad idea. But when it's based on fear, it's not good. It's not healthy. I recently heard of a podcast that was saying, we the people are more than likely living with PTSD from what this country has gone through these past 2.5 years. And we have not even seen the full effects of it yet. Imagine that, right? PTSD sort of infiltrating our country right now. Now, we need to understand, viruses are all around us. And in order to avoid them affecting our bodies, we need to take care of ourselves by building a strong immune system. I believe in having a belief in someone greater than ourselves and having a mind that can use wisdom in its decisions. Taking care of ourselves should be our first priority. And, of course, if we're sick, we should stay home and not spread what we're combating. It's just common sense. We didn't really need the orders and the mandates of social distancing. We're just common sense people. If we're sick, we stay home. Well, if this has been you and you feel like you have just been surviving right now because of these past 2.5 years, well, take the first step to help move out of this way of living. Get some guidance to remove the fear in your life. Fear is so unhealthy, and it's not God's design for us. But if these past 2.5 years are not what's pummeled you into a surviving mode and not thriving, then really begin to dig deep and look at what may have caused you to take on this mode of living. Remove the fear from your life. It should be a top priority to help you to move into a life that thrives. A life that thrives. Now, understand, when I say living a life that thrives, I'm not describing a life of being rich, vacationing in exotic places and having our desires, not just our needs, met. No, living a life that thrives, I believe, is much deeper than that. Thinking that thriving is having all those things is truly shallow living. I'm not arguing. Having provision is important. Taking vacations are excellent for our health and our minds, and just having good family time. And having our desires met can be exciting, even, having our needs met, but going beyond that and having our desires met, wow, that's great. But I think we need to go deeper into what it really means to live a life that thrives. For me, having faith in someone greater than myself is important because I need to know when life around me is falling apart. I need to know that there's someone who can help fix it for me. Someone that can give me the wisdom on how to change it, or someone who can walk alongside me during that difficult time. So, how about you? Is your faith strong, or do you even have any faith? As I said, my faith is in the one who created the universe, the one who created me. I put my faith in the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Is my faith perfect? No, not at all. Not always. But I do work at it to strengthen it so that I can move it to a greater level. Because having faith gives you so much more in life. Having faith should kind of be our first step to living a thriving life. But once we have that faith, there's something we need to add to it. And I believe that that's goodness. So what defines goodness? Well, I would say living a life of integrity, having virtues of courage, walking with godly morals and nobleness. To me, that's goodness. And when we've mastered goodness, then it would probably do us well to begin to walk in understanding. And you might ask, well, what do you mean? Understand what? Well, my answer would be to understand God's ways, to understand God's character, to understand God's will. And then once we have that understanding, this next one is not easy. And that is self-control. And this is probably at times a very hard thing to walk in because we are so used to feeding our flesh, right? Satisfying those emotions because we live in this microwave society and we need to have everything we want right away, right? I mean, heck, we, pick up our cell phones and, text somebody. I mean, I try not to be this person, but sometimes I am. I text my kids and I'm like, why are you not answering me? Right? Because I know their cell phone's on their hip. But that's the society that we have grown in. Addictions are at an all-time high. And I'm not talking about alcohol and substance abuse. I'm talking about things like being addicted to pornography or just being addicted to social media and our technology. Or, having food addictions. Bottom line, self-control is just saying no when your body wants to say yes. And I am for one to say that's a hard thing for me at times. I just cannot deny that. But if we focus on self-control, our lives will be one of peace and joy. I mean, how many times have you should say no, but your flesh is saying yes. So you listen to your flesh and then you go, oh, and you feel like garbage for it. I know I've been there so many times. It's a horrible feeling. So, mastering self-control will give us a life, I believe, of peace and joy. We won't live in condemnation for knowing that we shouldn't do something that we want to do, or we won't be in condemnation, I should say, for doing something we know we shouldn't do, or that our flesh, seems to have more power than our will. So once we've mastered walking in self-control, and it's, I say that statement lightly because do you ever really master it? I don't know. I think you can have more times that you're walking in more self-control, but it's probably something that we'll always battle, always something that you'll have to put a concentrated effort in walking in. But once we feel like we've we have a good handle on it. Maybe that's a better way to say it. We have a good handle on self-control. Then it's time to perhaps move into patient endurance. And this is probably another difficult area to move into, but with God's grace, it can be accomplished. I've gotten in the habit now, sometimes I feel overwhelmed by like my to-do list. And, it could be a Saturday and I'm like, I really need to clean my house, but I don't feel like cleaning my house. I'm telling you, I have prayed, Lord, give me your grace to get through cleaning my house. And I'm telling you, I get through it. I get through it without effort, without feeling like, one more thing to do. Okay. I mean, I just boom, 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 do what I need to do, and it's over. So I believe in prayer and I believe in the grace of God. But patient endurance could almost be defined as two separate qualities: patience and enduring. Having the character of being able to endure all things, I guess, will help make walking in patience that much easier. But when we have patient endurance, we don't respond to difficult situations with drama. We have the ability to be objective, perhaps take a deep breath, and make a non-emotional adult decision. We have the endurance to stay the course on a goal that maybe is difficult. Like cleaning my house. That's not difficult, but just emotionally, I just didn't want to do it. Or having the endurance to finish a project, or you've decided to change your way of eating to, more whole foods. Or you decided to implement an exercise regime into your day. And you're having a hard time enduring it. Well, with the grace of God, you can get those qualities of patient endurance. And then once we understand the importance of having it, and if we don't understand the importance of having it, we'll never have it. But once we understand the importance of it, we then can add sort of a form of godliness, which to me is just a reverence for God. It's a respect for God. It's respecting Him, loving Him, and respecting Him. The Bible talks a lot about having, the fear of God. It's not about being afraid, cowering in a corner that, He's going to come and get us. The fear of the Lord is really just a reverence and a respect for Him. Remember, we were created in His image. So walking in His godliness will make our lives full and, of course, make Him happy. And then from godliness, we would add mercy in our life. And by adding mercy to our life will really help us, especially with relationships. How many times do we grow impatient with others or judge them because they're just not walking the same walk that we do? I mean, I have had to really ask God to forgive me for this because, in my frustration with this whole pandemic that's happened the past 2.5 years, and still seeing people walking around with masks, it frustrates me. And I just want to shake them and say, please breathe. But I really need to walk in mercy. I need to release and extend mercy to these people. I don't know what's going on in their lives that's causing them to continue to walk and wear masks. I don't know. So adding mercy is just something that we need to do. And if we don't, it'll only hurt us, right? Because we reap what we sow. So if I'm going to keep releasing judgments on these people, I'm going to get judgments back. It's just a lesson I've learned. And then lastly, from having mercy, we walk in something called unending love. And that unending love needs to be expressed to others. And it's kind of like the final touch to living a life that thrives and not just survives. But walking in this unending love is only something that we can give if we've received it. Knowing that we're loved and adored by our Father, and not only knowing it in our head, but receiving it in our heart, will enable us to give that love to others. And love is the ultimate gift that we could give. But it really cannot just be a head knowledge. It really needs to be experienced in our own hearts. And I guess a way to know whether we do or not, think about loving someone in your life and that feeling that you have inside towards that person. Do you feel that same way towards God, or do you feel that same love back? Your child loves you, your spouse loves you, and you feel that love from them. Do you feel that love from God? And if you don't, then you have head love, not heart love. It truly needs to be in your heart. So kind of in summary, those are character traits that I want in my life so that I can say I'm living a thriving life. How about you? Are you just surviving right now and you want to feel alive again? Then make that decision to make some changes. If fear is holding you back, work on living with faith, living in faith. Because the opposite of fear is faith. You can't have both. You can't have fear and faith at the same time. Having faith would be foundational for beginning those changes that you would desire in your life. So I hope you enjoyed this message and that you feel encouraged to look at where you are right now. Take a scale, right? Just take a piece of paper and write a line, draw a line across it. And on one side, put surviving. And on the other end of the line, put thriving. And then mark on the scale where you sit. And if you feel like you're off balance and you are more surviving, then make a decision to change it. That's the first step. Make the decision. Remember, we're the only ones who can change our lives. But sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need a little guidance to help us in that process. So be blessed, be encouraged, and begin to ask yourself, am I surviving or am I thriving? And as a reminder, there's a link below to connect you to my new book, Daddy, Can I Have Your Heart, Daddy? Actually initially was the name of the book when I first started, Daddy, Can I Have Your Heart? It's my journey to understanding the heart of my Heavenly Father and the healing that I received from the trauma. And it just might speak to you. Sometimes reading others' stories or hearing others' journeys can help us and give us courage to know that maybe my life isn't as hard, or maybe mine is just as hard, but she made it. She got through. So, my friend, I love you all. I thank you for taking the time to listen to my message. I hope that it encourages and blesses and strengthens you. And I am rooting for you here. I'm cheering you on to have a life that thrives. God bless. Well, thank you, my friends, for taking the time to listen to my podcast. I hope you found it uplifting and encouraging, and that it guides you to having peace, joy, love, and health in your life. If you would like more information on the services I offer, go to my website,
reginasanchez.com. Or if you're ready to dive into my teachings, head on over to givingyouafreshstart.com. This is where I will teach you how to start fresh on different aspects of your life. You can also find my book, Can I Have Your Heart, Daddy, on Amazon. Be blessed, be encouraged, and know that you are loved.